Hi everyone, I'm Bay Backner. I'm head producer and curator at the Decentraland Foundation. And today we are going to be talking about curator secrets. I'm going to be telling you all the inside alpha on how to get selected for opportunities in the arts. So whether that's an exhibition, whether it is a commission, whether it's an open call. We run a lot at the Decentraland Foundation. This is my third art week I have produced. I've also done IRL shows for the last 10 years. I have run arts collectives. I've done curated drops for NFT platforms like Object. So I've done a lot of artist selection. I also teach on the MA in Global Entertainment and Media Business at Berkeley for all the upcoming musicians and performers and record label owners. So a lot of thought has gone into this presentation. It should be super fun, and I would love you to join me in world. So you can see this is a pre-recorded part of the recording, but I am going to be in world for both of these sessions at Art Week. So you can repeat it, you can come join me, you can talk to me via the chat. So if you're in world right now, you can see this is my avatar here. This is the chat. So tell me who you are. Drop who you are in the chat. I am going to be there talking to you in the chat at the same time as this workshop. It should be super interactive. So in the chat right now, tell me who you are, where are you from? So your country, who you are. It doesn't need to be your profession. It can be I'm an artist. It can be I'm a photographer. I'm just genuinely interested in the art world. I build 3D environments. Just give me a little bit about yourself in the chat. I'm going to move this screen a little bit. There we go. Give me a little bit about yourself in the chat, and I'm going to be engaging and talking to you at the same time. So let's get started. There's a little bit of PowerPoint action right now. So are you ready? Curator secrets. So I'm going to be talking about 8. Okay. I'd mess this up again. There's going to be 8, but we're missing number 7 here, as you can see. So curators want impact. We're going to be talking about everything behind the scenes of the psychology of a curator. What do they want? What do they want from you? Why are they not selecting you right now? We're going to talk about how it is not about you, but what it is about. We're going to be talking about how you can make yourself be the perfect fit if you want to be for all these art opportunities. We're going to be talking about the importance of time and how if you're rejected, mainly it's about the clock. We're going to talk about your name. This is a huge thing in the virtual world. It's an increasingly important thing in the art world in general. And we sort of it's always been the case, but never really been spoken about in this way. So we're going to do some really interesting deep dives into identity and what that actually means right now in the art and creativity industries. We're going to talk about consistency is trust, which is number 6. Number 7, it's disappeared from my slide, but number 7, be a nice human, what that means, what you can do, what you can't do. We're going to do a little bit of controversy here. And finally, about supporting peers, what that means, how to do that without seeming overly, shall we say, creepy. We're going to look at what it means to support, what it means to follow, what it means to engage with other conversations. And basically, we're going to transform things. You're going to go from if you're joining me in the very basics, tell me that in the chat. Tell me, what's your experience so far? I'm going to be talking right there, and we're going to dive right in. I'm going to make sure now I have my notes open, so I remember everything that I want to say to you all. First off, curators. Who are they? What do they actually want? Well, curators are motivated by one thing, usually, and that in some way is impact. Curators do it for a variety of different reasons. Many come from artistic backgrounds. Another started off as collectors and started to want to produce shows of their collection. Others are funded by institutions. I'm very, very lucky that I work with the Decentraland Foundation. So I have a remit to produce the events that I'm producing. But in all of our cases, we kind of want to make an impact in some way, whether that's as an artistic statement, to advance our careers as curators, to contribute to the wider cultural conversation. We love art, we love creativity, so we want to be able to make an impact in that field. So the shows that we produce need to resonate with the audiences that we want to attract and engage with maybe the media outlets that we want to have a conversation with as well, if you want to talk on a wider contextual basis about art or creativity or design, whichever segment we're in. We need to have resonance with our funding bodies as well, whether that is a governmental organization, whether it's an educational institute. A lot of museums and galleries are run by educational institutions. And many of us are part-time. I'm super lucky in that this role of curation is a small part of what I do at the Decentraland Foundation. For many, many curators, it's either a part-time role, it's something they're juggling with full-time careers, it's something that they do maybe as a past, like I don't want to say hobby because it is much more important to many of them than a run-of-the-mill kind of sports hobby. It's very much something that they are passionate about, but maybe it's not funded right now. Maybe they're doing it in their spare time. And so they're juggling multiple roles, responsibilities, and the time pressure. And really, at the basics of that, if you understand that a curator is looking for impact while juggling multiple other responsibilities, projects, and roles, you're going to be good. Let's start from that. So the more you can bring in terms of that impact, and we'll talk about what that means for different artists, the better your relationship is going to be with curators, and the easier it's going to be for you to get exhibition roles. Got to emphasize this as we're starting out. It is never personal. I sometimes get quite a few DMs and emails about, hey, is curation just about who I know? Is it about friendships? Is it about favoritism? No. For most curators, there are some exceptions, particularly if you're really well known in the arts world. Potentially, there's going to be some favoritism there. But still, for most curators worth their salt, worth their wages, it's about building strong shows. It's about gaining that impact. We need new names because funding bodies, platforms, galleries all give us a quota for that. Artists frequently leave the industry, particularly in high pressure, high moving spaces like Web3 art, Web3 design, virtual worlds design. The turnover, especially in a bear market, is quite high. So we're short of studios, we're short of artists. Like, where is the new talent coming from? And actually, platforms are competing for that talent. When I was curator at an NFT platform, I would say 60% of my role was communicating with artists, trying to persuade them to come and mint with us because it was a new platform. Don't worry that you're not being sought after because of who you are. It's absolutely about, we need new innovation, we need new faces, but there's a few things that especially emerging artists don't yet understand about the industry, emerging creators, emerging builders don't quite understand yet, and that means you're not being selected. You just haven't found the right project yet, or you haven't found the right fit. And we're going to talk about how to find that fit in the next slides. Are you ready? Let's move on. Fit. This is a big one. I'm going to reduce me so you can see me. Here we are. Right. So doing the right fit. What fit means? Curators choose artists who align with a particular show's concept and vision. And a lot of thought has gone into that. So if I've come up with a title or an idea for a show, I'm really sold on that title or idea. I've done my research. I know that direction fits where either the funding body wants to go, where the foundation wants to go, where I want to go to explore something that maybe is happening within popular culture. It's super important. So fit is about matching your work or proposal to the ideas that I as a curator want to explore. So really think of it as though I'm casting an actor for a theatre production or a film. Not every good actor is going to fit that role. You could be the most brilliant actor in the world, but if I'm casting for Juliet from Romeo and Juliet, and you are a 6-foot rugby playing Jason Momoa type, you're not going to fit that role. And that's really important to understand because we care so much about our creative output as artists, as curators. You can see I'm a painter, so I know what it's like to apply for shows. You think, why won't they see how much I've put into this work, the skills that are involved, the time, the thought that I put in to try and communicate something? I know it's super hard, but it's just not a fit for that show, for that one show. It might be the most brilliant work that I've ever seen, but if it doesn't connect with the theme, then I can't include it with the show. So demonstrate fit. Like, this is super important. Read the brief. For example, if you're applying for a Decentraland open call, actually read what's in that open call. What are we looking to explore in those builds or in that art or for a commission? Like, what are they actually trying to come up with that's new? Highlight the curator's keywords and concepts, and then select pieces from your own portfolio that explore those things. Or write a paragraph to explain to me how the things that you're presenting link to the theme. I might not get it. Like, I don't know your work yet. So tell me, like, how does it link? Like, what are the really awesome things behind this that are a good fit to the concept that the curator's exploring? For example, the show that you're in right now. Let me bring it up again. Here we go. So let me bring my stream up there. So this show is all about touch grass. So the meme, the need to connect in virtual environments with something real. I was blown away by some of these proposals, connecting these things to the reality of the work of these artists. You can see all of those on the website at decentraland.org/art. Take a look and then explore. So, are you ready? If you can, explore with me. This is my avatar. And if you're in there already and have already seen some of these artworks, tell me in the chat what your favorite is. Tell me, like, what are you seeing? How are they relating to touch grass? What is resonating for you in this space? And then I'm going to show you some of those artists later, what they proposed with. And so you can kind of start making those connections. But tell me about your favorites in the Decentraland chat right now. I'm here in world interacting with you. And I'm going to bring up now, I'm just going to dive back here to the stage, that thing of being the right fit. And we're going to talk about some common mistakes. Generic applications. Don't assume that your work is going to fit any show. Like, I have to see, or any curator has to see, why your work fits the specific show. We can immediately tell if you haven't read the brief, if you haven't fully understood what the vision is for the show. AI. Now, all of us use AI. It's totally fine to use AI to polish your applications. But the more and more proposals I see clearly written by AI, they're almost always rejected. And here's why. AI doesn't know you and your personal practice, your own history, the deeper threads in your work. It's going to produce something generic. And the one thing that art can't be is generic. So if you produce a generic AI text, even if it's beautifully written, it doesn't connect as deeply enough with you and your artistic practice as we need. So by all means, polish your words with AI. I often just talk into AI, telling it about my practice. Use the voice feature as much as possible. Talk and talk and talk. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm using. But don't believe it when it then edits it into something generic. Force it, if you're using AI as your editor, to keep in the really specific things about your practice. Because if not, that will get lost. And as I'm going to talk about in a minute, time is so important in this. So you want to be able to present those distinct things about you and your practice from the beginning. And you also need to know how you connect with the theme. It can connect with your personal experience. It can connect with your artistic identity. And AI can't invent that for you. It has to be real. So, key takeaway here. Curators need to see that you understand their vision and that your work belongs in this conversation that they're creating, that impact that they want to house within the wider art world. Okay, it's time. It's time to talk about time. The enemy here for all of us within the creative industries. It's about time, money, pressure. But in general, it's time. Most rejections happen because of time, not talent. And I'm going to repeat that like Tony Robbins. Most rejections happen because of time, not talent. Now I'm going to put this big on the screen as well. There we go. Right. You need to get the curator's time restraints. So from my own experience, open calls can get, even in a Decentraland Foundation as yet isn't recognized as one of the top places for open calls. I would like to change that. But at the moment, we probably get about 100 to 200 artistic applications if we're doing an arts-based open call. Less for 3D builders, because obviously that's a steeper curve in terms of the expertise that you need. So again, 3D builders, if you want to engage, open calls are for you. But usually for a visual arts-based open call, you're looking at at least 100 applicants. Now, if I then spend just 1 minute per application, that's still 1 to 3 hours. And that's only if I review with no administration around that whatsoever. No emailing out, no telling you, I'm really sorry that you didn't get this, or error you have, here's the next level. It is a time-consuming process. And especially if I'm inviting a juror. Now, we usually invite juries and jurors to keep it fair, to keep that element of outside eyes looking at it. And I love working with juries because it gives that additional element to the curation. But I can't ask them for more than 90 minutes or 2 hours of their time. They have full-time roles, and we're not paying them to be a jury in an art competition usually. So if they have 90 minutes, like, you're getting seconds, minutes to really engage and impress. Usually I'll do a first cut for the larger exhibitions. So say a music festival for performers, we could have maybe 300 applications for performances. Gosh, yeah, that's a lot of reviewing. So curators like me often do a first quick cut to make sure that the artists and musicians that we're sending to external juries make sense, that they're easy to review, that they have all of their things there, that everything is there within their application. And why does this matter to you? Why am I screaming about time? Because it's hugely time consuming. And for a lot of arts organizations, that's why they stop doing open calls. They don't have the time and resources to manage all those applications. It's sometimes faster and easier to invite artists they already know can deliver. And that can look like favoritism from the outside. But it's purely a question of time. There isn't an idea of, oh, we want to close this. It's very much a, do we even have time to do this? And so for you as an artist to understand that major galleries get pitched every day with hundreds of emails, and they go unread simply because of time. In Web3 digital spaces, we just see the same on shill threads. There are literally hundreds of posts under a shill thread. And you can imagine how much time the person curating that is going to spend with each photograph. So we have this sense that in, say, the cinema, the film industry, you have to refine your elevated pitch, that you have 30 to 60 seconds to impress that producer and get your big break. And what we don't talk about enough is it's pretty much the same in visual arts and 3D creativity, even performance. You have to be able to explain who you are very quickly. And I know marketing is a dirty word for a lot of us artists, but unfortunately, we can call it something else. We can call it, just being able to very quickly show who you are as an artist in an artistic sense. So 30 to 60 seconds, make it count. Think of it like an elevator pitch. Curators aren't rejecting you because your work isn't good. They're probably rejecting you because your application took too long to understand. If you hide the important points at the bottom of your application, I often get applications that have a biography that is maybe a page long, and it hides the key bits about their artistic career, the relevant bits that are connected to the theme that I'm producing, to the concept. They hide it at the bottom. Bring it to the top. Ask ChatGPT, how long would it take for someone to read this? Which are the bits that they would read first? Which are the photographs that you present first? Particularly, so a lot of us use Zealous as an open call platform because it allows us to add jury members, see everything behind the scenes with a spreadsheet, make selections. If we're using score applications, there's a photo. There's one thing that you have to upload as the first thing that you do. Make it count. Like, make that a new photo if you can, or a new image or a video. Make that thing count so that when a very tired jury member, after 90 minutes of review, is looking through these applications, that thing pops. And you use that time, that eyeball time, to go, hey, I'm here. I connect with this theme. And if you don't get selected, blame time, blame that clock. It's not about the quality of your work. So, typical time-related rejection reasons. Best work hidden at the bottom of a submission. Biography, too long and too unfocused. I'm going to show you some examples in 10 minutes. Vague proposals written by AI, generic. It's unclear how your work fits the scene. So, key takeaway on this one is most rejections are simply because there's no time to figure out what you're offering. All right. So, comment below in the world. Tell me, has this happened to you? Do you think it's happened to you? Are you rethinking your applications and thinking, okay, I did that? Because I have done it so many times. So if you're in world right now, I am in world too. This is me, my avatar in Decentraland Art Week. I'm the curator of the show. Talk to me right now, Bay Backner, in the chat. Tell me, how are you finding this so far? Is there anything that you've realized? Is there any questions you want to ask? I've been there in the chat. I'm going to do a Q&A at the end. But let's see if we can get through everything I have prepared for this presentation. All right, name. Now, this is a big one. I told my students, and it is about digital identity. The first class I even teach at Berkeley is a class on digital identity, because we need to understand that your digital presence is your reputation. Choose how you want to be seen. It is super important. Let me make this slide big to show you this. Right. Choose how you want to be seen. What this actually means. Now, this is a alpha secret that probably no one's told you about in the art world, but I'm going to spill it right now. When a curator is producing a show, a curator knows that at least the first 5 names on a roster will be Googled by anyone important and influential that is seeing the show. So if I'm producing a show, I know that if I share it with journalists, they will Google the first 5 names on my roster. They get bored after about 5, 6, or 7, but first 5 will get Googled. If I'm producing a show for collectors, those collectors will start Googling the names of the artists. Same with galleries and institutions. If I'm proposing a show for a gallery, they will Google my artists. And unfortunately, every artist on a show's roster reflects on the show's whole reputation. You imagine if you were trying to put a company together like that, like you're recruiting 10 employees, and you know that your investors, funders, customers will be Googling the names of those 10 contributors to your project. Think about how it would change your relationship to the digital identity of those employees, friends, contributors to your project. That is what happens in the art and creativity world right now. So when a show is announced, everyone starts Googling. And if they find that anyone in that top 5 roster has an uncurated online presence, which means that their online presence looks messy, amateurish, unfocused, in some cases scandalous, maybe there's some trolling in there, maybe like all of that comes together for the digital identity in Google or increasingly ChatGPT of those artists. And suddenly the whole show is made less credible. Artists have to protect the reputation of everyone in the show. They have to protect their own reputation, and they have to protect the artists that trust them to curate their work, because there's a lot of trust between artists and curators. You have to trust me that I'm going to display your work amongst the company of people that you want to be part of. And if there's just one person in that roster that doesn't have a strong, curated, professional seeming online presence, it's not a good look for the show. So I, as a curator, have to Google everybody in the show. And a lot of the time, I can't take the risk if there's issues with those online identities. Now, we'll go into this a little bit more detail because it can seem a little bit controversial. But what we're looking for is, oh, and just as a side note, I've had artists drop out because of this as well, that they say yes to a show, then they see the other artists, Google them and say, hey, I can't be part of this show anymore. Why? What are we looking for? We're looking for a clear, professional seeming portfolio or digital presence. we're not looking for followers in reality, although it's nice. Like, if you have 10,000, 30,000 Twitter followers, awesome. It just shows that you've been serious about your practice or followers. Like, depends where you were in the hype cycle. But for most of us, we're just looking so that it's clear, consistent, professional seeming, and that you have that portfolio online. It's evidence that you understand what the pressures are on an art show and that you can represent the show well when you start talking about it externally. Because we hope as curators, you're going to be really excited about the show and want to talk about it externally. And reassurance that you will at least maintain the level of professionalism within the roster of artists so that everybody can be comfortable that we've made a solid selection. In the past, you built a reputation through physical galleries, and now increasingly it's 90, 100% through your digital footprint. Most curators will not include an artist who could make the show seem more amateurish. I know it's tough to hear, but it's true. So if you want to be included in the highest level of shows, or even if you just want to get your first start, think about your online identity. We're going to talk about specifics in a few moments' time. So choosing your artistic identity. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put myself back on. All right. So choosing your identity. Tell me in the chat, tell me in this chat, in the world, how many artistic or digital identities you have had. Now, if you're watching this, you'll see that I'm kind of on my own right now in world, but that's because I'm pre-recording this workshop so I can chat with you online. But in Art Week right now, this world is going to be full. So jump in, join us, talk to us about your digital identity. How many of you had? You don't dox yourself, but how many identities do you actually have? How many names do you use for your professional artistic practice? I was trying to tot it up, and I think I've used maybe 5. In England, we change our name when we marry as well. But I probably had about 4 consciously decided identities that I've used across different facets of creativity that I've explored. I've changed my name a lot. Bay Backner has been my artist identity for more than a decade. And it's very much integrated with my personal life right now. For example, my romantic partner calls me Bay. My kids refer to me as Bay when they're not calling me mummy. But it didn't start out that way. That wasn't my real identity, the identity I was born with. I took it because of some of these questions when I started being a professional in both the tech and arts industries again. After running some other styles of companies, which you will have to name those because I'm not going to dox some of my other identities. But it's this iteration and refinement. A lot of people ask me like, whoa, can I change my name? Absolutely. And for the reasons we're going to talk about, it's not about hiding an identity. It's about curating what you want to display as part of your artistic and creative identity. Maybe you don't want to be linked to things that you created 5 years ago, or things that you explored politically 5 years ago, or things that you wanted to say when you were in your teenage years. And maybe that footprint and that identity is still out there and associated with one particular name. Maybe your name isn't very sorry, jumping up and down here on my seat and it's changing my avatar. And maybe your name isn't very memorable. Maybe it doesn't work in an artistic context. Why would you go forward with something that potentially doesn't work for you? In Web3, we're very used to using different names in terms of our interactions in forums, in terms of interactions in Decentraland. Tell me, how many names have you used? Drop it in the chat for me. Because I'm fascinated. I want to hear, but really you can be whoever you want to be in the artistic space. And really importantly, it will push your digital practice. Now, we get to the second part of this. So your name is everything. You can choose whatever name you use to resonate with the audience, with the community that you want to be part of. You choose how you want to be seen in curating that digital identity, but super importantly, it needs to be consistent. One of the red flags that I see with artists is an inconsistency across the identity that you're presenting to me. Do not use different names. I know. You can iterate. You can try different things. You can try different projects. You can call yourself whatever you want. But when you're ready to pitch, when you're ready to apply to open calls or be part of an online artistic conversation, stick to one. Many artists apply to open calls using one name, but then have different names on their email, Twitter, Instagram, website. Don't do this. Choose one name for your artistic persona and use it consistently across platforms. Why? Because it freaks the heck out of collectors and curators. We can't piece your identity together from multiple platforms, mainly because we're really concerned about getting it wrong. We don't want to misrepresent you or get your name wrong. And gosh, I mean, most curators have had experience where artists have been so cross about a name being spelled incorrectly or doxing or a name not being properly capitalized. It's really important to make it easy for us. If you are using multiple personas, only do it if they're truly separate bodies of work. Create completely different, separate portfolios and social accounts for each identity. Apply to different opportunities under each identity. And obviously, if you're splitting it, it is a high workload. So be very sure that you need different professional identities in the creative practice. Maybe just have your home identity and your artistic identity, or maybe have your work identity and your creative identity. Be sure that you have the time capacity to manage multiple identities if you're doing it, or consolidate into one. And if you are consolidating or changing your identity, try to think that you're already established and change everything at the same time. So what would a artist need to do? What would a brand need to do if they're changing your name? It's the same question if you're changing your name as an artist, particularly if you're about to promote the same body of work that you produced under one name. So curators, we're under a lot of time pressure. We've already talked about this. If your name is hard to spell, unclear, or different across platforms, they might choose someone easier because it's just easier to credit you. Artists get upset about this. It creates another pressure for curators. Make it easy. Collectors will Google your name. We've talked about this. It's all about reputation. And if they can't find your social profiles easily because they're under different names or different like synonyms, don't do it. It makes it difficult. There's an amazing arts magazine right now that I love. Right Click Save. Love their website. Their Twitter profile I can never find because it's like RCS _ it doesn't come up. Even if you try and find it through their name. So like really make it easy for anybody checking you out online to find the right person. Link your socials from the website. Basic 101. Make sure the handles match your artist name. Think about how your portfolio looks to someone who does not know you. It should feel like a coherent, trustworthy magazine or publication, not a jumble of unrelated content. Be clear on what you want to talk about artistically and present that in everything that you're sharing online. Now, obviously, if you want to talk about difficult concepts as an artist, if you want to talk about politics, if you want to talk about gender relations, if you want to talk about pick your topic that could be controversial, of course, but make it a considered part of your identity. I'm going to show you two examples in just 2 minutes of artists that are doing this well. Make sure that it is clear that this is intentional. Be consistent across all your profiles. If you're talking about politics on Twitter, it needs to be part of your artistic identity if you're using that Twitter profile to apply for open calls. If not, the difference between those two personas is going to cause questions and it might prevent you from getting picked. Even if your work is as brilliant as everyone else in the show, it would need to be 100 times more brilliant if there's any kind of difficulty around your identities online. Again, I know it's a hard thing to hear, but it might be holding back your artistic career. Just make all of that consistent. Okay, again, chat to me in the comments. Is this making sense? Is what I'm saying here, or are there exceptions? Do you think maybe there should be something that I'm not talking about here? Tell me, let me know in the chat, and I'll be engaging there as well. All right, so final 2 points. Let's see if we can get through these. I'm chatting away here. Be a nice human should be self-explanatory, but it's not for some of us in the art industry. Professionalism matters. Curators re-invite people that they enjoy working with. There's a sense that artists should be difficult, but the reality is actually that an artist might have developed a difficult persona in the outside world, but be an absolute sweetheart to work with behind the scenes. And that usually is the case because they appreciate that for their wider audience, maybe that edginess and difficulty is part of their artistic persona. But in terms of professionalism that they need to get on in the industry, that wouldn't work in reality. So we understand being an artist is hard. Everyone gets that. It involves rejection, risk, and deep personal investment. Many artists, myself included, are driven maybe by insecurities. There might be some neurodiversity there. You might be compelled to do some things. And it can make the process potentially emotionally intense. But it can be emotionally intense, but you still need to treat others in a kind way during the process. Why this matters. Missing deadlines, pulling out at the last minute, demanding a lot of attention, it creates stress for curators and their teams. And particularly for large exhibitions or virtual expressions, a lot of people's workload is depending on you as an artist being involved in the show or you as a 3D builder delivering on time. And if you add, unfortunately, to the pressures on a curator's team, he or she or they are going to be looking at that team and trying to manage and help them and optimize their time. So if you're the artist that's delaying everyone's deadlines, you're not going to get rebooked. We're going to remember. And it's going to quietly happen. You're not going to get the bookings again, no matter how good your artistic output is. And unfortunately, the art world, the creativity world is really small. Someone who's producing a small scale show today might be producing the next Venice Biennale in 20 years' time, and they're still going to remember. You're not going to get many more chances. So really think about your relationship with the curators and the galleries that you're working with. Professional reputation starts the moment you begin communicating with people in the creative industry. People want to work with artists who are kind, reliable, and calm under pressure. And if you consistently make things harder, the opportunities are going to quietly fade away. And no one's really going to tell you, unfortunately. It's just how it works. Red flags, submitting proposals at the last minute. I know it's really, really tempting and an open call to submit it like 2 minutes before the deadline. But judges and curators will see that. And it will introduce the question, can they work to deadlines? Are they going to deliver? They don't want to be with that pressure that they haven't got anything from you until 2 minutes before the final deadline. So don't do that. Like if you have to set yourself a different target, if that's something that you need to work around, do it. Everyone understands that some of us have ADHD, autism, we have difficulty managing timelines. Absolutely fine. Set yourself a different deadline. Work to that so that you can show the curators from the beginning that your work is there and ready. Flooding curators with DMs, questions. And when they're managing maybe 25 to 100 different artist studios for Art Week, we had 17 studios involved and 10 individual artists. So that's more than 27. And then you have all of the people that are speaking in additional to that. Like I love, one of the reasons I do this is talking to people within the community, but kind of get a calibration on how that works. Maybe ask the curator, like, where do you prefer me to message you? I'm like, is this good? Like, do you prefer me to put things on one document and send it once a week? Or do you prefer interaction? All curators will be different, but you're going to be seen as someone amazing to work with if you actually ask, like, how is the curator managing their workflow? Like, how do you want that interaction? Rather than just the constant emails. There's very few in our community, thank goodness, that do this. And obviously, I want to be DM'd and talk about what we're producing, but just be conscious of how much workload is involved in a show. If there are difficulties with a show, some things go wrong. Like everybody makes mistakes. Tell us. Keep going with the show if you can, and then ask for a retro or a debrief after the show. Say, hey, I didn't like how that went. I didn't like the level of professionalism here, or I didn't like how my work was hung. Can we talk about it? most reasonable curators that you want to work with will say, absolutely, tell me, what did we do wrong? How can we fix it? But doing that the day before a show is not going to be great in terms of managing that professional relationship that you have to between you. So healthier approaches, communicate, ask them how they communicate. Don't assume, talk to them about it. If things go wrong, deliver what you promised and then ask for a debrief. Treat every show like a learning experience, not a make or break moment. So key takeaway, I'm going to do the Tony Robbins thing. This won't be your last show unless you seem impossible to work with. Don't do it. Let's keep it so that these curators want to rebook you and rebook you. And even if things go wrong, talk to them about it in a nice human way. And finally, you're ready. So support your peers. This is where it gets interesting. One of the things about Web3 is that direct contact that you can have with artists, curators, people that you admire. But it's about seeing them as peers, not as people that are kind of for your fandom or don't like. No, it's absolutely fine. Think of yourself as an artist that has something to contribute to the conversation and know what you can contribute at every stage of your artistic career. It's super important to start engaging in those conversations because in reality, that's where the exhibitions and opportunities and commissions are going to come. As we said, open calls, super time consuming. A lot of galleries and artists and curators don't do it. So you want to be part of a community of peers, people that you admire, and you're going to be able to grow alongside them. You're going to rise up together. So it's not about idolizing, it's about belonging. Don't, keep that line. No, creepiness, like pet stalking. No, we're not going to do it. We're going to think about ourselves as professionals talking with another professional. So see them as your peers. Even if you're not producing at their level yet, think about what you can contribute to the conversation. You're in the same industry. You're working towards the same goal. Have the same kind of conversation. So engage, follow their work, understand what they're doing, contribute around their work. Can you comment? Can you share? Can you support? In such a full digital media environment right now, just getting a consistent like from someone is really going to be recognized by an artist, no matter what level of their career they are. Like, engage with their work, be kind, like, share, support. If they ask for help, think about how you could offer it. Even just liking that and doing that kind of just day-to-day interaction shows solidarity and encouragement. And for a lot of artists, even at whatever stage you're at, it's lonely out there. You're going to have those insecurities like the rest of everybody. So be a supporter. And I started out as a collector on the Tezos network. That's how I met so many artists that I now work with. Just collecting early editions for just a few Tezos, talking about how much I liked their work. Be that kind of person that's just investing time, maybe a small amount of money in supporting these artists and being part of their conversation where it matters. Visibility comes from being part of this conversation, not for waiting for people to discover you. It's similar to open source communities, similar to places like Decentraland DAO. You become known because you contribute ideas, techniques, support, encouragement. And particularly for Web3 art, the scene is so small and connected. It's where the opportunities are, particularly in their markets. So practical ways, focus on a small circle of artists that you truly admire, quality over quantity. Join our communities. So if you're in World with me right now, there is a new community launching at Art Week called the Arts Community. So there's a button at the top. Click the communities button and you'll see all of these incredible communities that you can join in Decentraland itself. There will be one here, new for Decentraland Art Week, which is called the Immersive Arts Community. Join it. You'll hear about all the upcoming arts events. You'll connect with some of the most amazing people creating art in virtual worlds today. It's a fantastic learning resource. Join it and contribute to the conversation. What else can we do? So we can instead find artists in Discords. Ask them, which communities are you involved in? Go into Decentraland, into the events and chat and network. Right now, in the chat right now, community members, share which events that you love in Decentraland. Where have you met people? Where have you started those conversations? Share it in the chat. I'm going to be adding 2. Tell us What have you done to connect with people? And if you're standing there new in Decentraland today, watching this and thinking, oh, I'm kind of shy, I don't want to connect, tell us, go, hey, this is new to me. And everyone's going to pile in. You're going to get a load of free wearables. Tell me, are you new? Yes, right, you're new. I'm going to send you something, right? So it's about knowing that when you meet a community like Decentraland, like many of the other virtual worlds, who are new, emerging, it's a new media. So many of these artists that we're seeing today at Decentraland Art Week are relatively new to the space because it hasn't existed before. This capacity hasn't been possible. So many of us are so passionate that we want to meet you. We want to help you, want to talk with you. Again, as peers, though, be very conscious that people have time restraints. If you want something, so I get a lot of DMs going, hi, I can't reply to those. I'm really sorry, but I don't know what you want. And I don't want to have an extended conversation that I'm not sure where it's going. Tell me straight away. I got one a few days ago from a PhD student saying, hey, Bay, I am writing my PhD about virtual worlds. I saw what you're doing with Art Week. Can I have a 30-minute phone call? Here's my booking calendar. Absolutely. Super easy for me to reply. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I recognize that you're passionate about virtual worlds. I recognize that you're already part of the conversation. Of course, I'm going to help and want to talk to you more. So finally, art meetups, because I want to give you some real examples. Art meetups. If you don't have art meetups in your local city, join the Decentraland communities. If you do have art meetups in your local city, go to them. And if you are interested in art meetups in your local city but have never been to one and don't know if there are any, start one. When I first moved to Valencia 8 years ago, the best thing I did was start an arts collective called Colonia Roma. I'd never done one before. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just started saying, okay, I'm going to meet everyone in this restaurant. We're going to talk about this specific topic in art. It's open for this kind of artist because I wanted to make it easy for myself and manageable and see where it goes. One of, I would say, 5 artists that I now work with are from Colonia Roma, and we did it on a regular basis. And also it was in a level far above where I was. And a lot of us have risen together. It's that thing, you rising together by supporting your peers. I'm going to show you one of the artists now. So key takeaway, build your community by showing up, contributing and supporting peers, and opportunities will grow from there. Now, I'm going to pause and then come back. Okay, 2 examples I want to give before this workshop ends. The first, here we go, is a artist that I met through the work I was doing in NFT platforms as a collector. So I started collecting this artist's work. I started seeing they were working in 3D world, and I started reaching out saying, hey, do you want to do something with me around shows? And I'm going to show you why. So this is what it looks like when you have a consistent digital identity. So this is an artist called Mika Alhadef. You can see their installation right now in Art Week. If you want to see where it is, go to decentraland.org/Art Week and you can jump in from there. I'm going to be showing you in the chat as well. So I'm going to be adding the coordinates for you to jump in after this workshop. So I'm going to Google Mika. So you'll see that Mika is a perfect example of someone who's done a really beautiful curation of their online presence. They have the same name across all social networks. They have a fantastic looking website that when I click on it, I know that if any curator or artist looks on this website, they are going to be impressed. They're going to think, yes, that palpable sense of relaxation, that this is an artist that it's established, that knows how to communicate their artistic practice. It's just one image, but it shows where their work is coming from right now. And if I click the about, you can see, a slight delay across. There we are. Right. You can see here that Mika has a perfect about. It is just 2 paragraphs. If you're having to scroll down and about, it's too long. It's 2 paragraphs. It's completely focused on their differentiation from other artists. It mentions the work about glitch aesthetics, so I know which genre this artist is working in. It talks about where they studied. It talks about how they do professional work in academic senses as well. It mentions their history. Now, if you don't have that history, that's absolutely okay. But talk about you. what is part of your artistic practice right now? And there's so many workshops on this for artists, so many free YouTube videos about writing what's called an artistic biography. Do it and include that under your digital persona. Now, Mika's got an excellent button here. That means that if I press it, I go to his Twitter straight away and I can subscribe and follow. And you can see that all of those things are mirrored in his preferred social profile. So we have Glitch 3D artist. There's keywords mirrored again. Link to the website, link to the object portfolio. I love Mika's work. And you can go and see it at Decentraland Art Week right now. So have a look. Right, second artist. Now, this is an artist that I met maybe 7 years ago. I was doing a artist life drawing session and she entered as the life model. And both of us have kind of grown in our artistic practices together. So this is the first time we've worked together in Decentraland after knowing each other for all that time, because I asked, look, do you want to apply to this open call? I think it could be awesome about bringing your work in Decentraland. So let's Google her. It's Emma Shapiro. You can see her installation at Decentraland Art Week right now. Go to Decentraland Art Week, decentraland.org/Art Week to find Emma's installation on a map. And you can see she has all of her profiles on here because she's now become quite an influential speaker in terms of digital censorship online. So she's both an artist and an activist. So if I go to her website, you'll see here, we have those keywords. I'm an American artist, activist, and freelance journalist based in Spain. My work intersects artistic freedom, digital rights, body politics, identity, and memory. Perfect. As a curator coming into this, I already understand where Emma is going to take a proposal or her work. And I can see which is her preferred social media platform. She has her Instagram link here. And if we click on it, Emma's work is visual and activist. So I don't need to see a totally visual Instagram profile. I can see activism on there because it works in terms of her portfolio and where she's taking her artistic practice. She mentions it: artist, activist, writer, editor at large at Don't Delete Art. She's also a contributor for magazines like Hyperallergic magazine. So super successful right now. But when we met, both of us were starting out in some of our artistic careers and practices. So it's really, really important, one, to think about that consistent identity online. And finally, let's wrap this up. So, here we go. Real examples, Emma, Mika, there are many more. Jump to decentraland.org/Art Week and you will see many more on the website. And finally, curator secrets. So curators want impact. It's not about you. Be the perfect fit for the proposal. Rejected, blame that clock. Everyone's under such time pressure. Make it easier for us to understand what you do and what you want to talk about. Your name is everything. Make that digital identity consistent across all your platforms. Think about that impact that you're having. Be a nice human. And finally, support your peers and rise up together. You never know. You never know where these connections are going to be taking you next. So let's make those connections now. I'm going to be here now in the chat for the next couple of minutes and also throughout the next workshop sessions. Talk to me, ask me questions, be part of the Decentraland Art Week conversation. You can be part of this whole artistic community that's happening right now in virtual worlds. It's super easy to get started. It's super supportive. The level of art, as you'll see, is incredible. And we're just really happy for you to be here. So thank you so much for being part of this workshop. It's been an absolute pleasure, especially if you're in world talking with me. I'm Bay Backner. I'm the producer of Decentraland Art Week and the head producer of Decentraland Foundation. It has been fantastic to be here with you today.